Oh, hello, folks. This is Steve AB4L. Nothing in this episode is a promotion nor is a recommendation. I always look at slashdot.org. Once in a while, there's something that really fascinates me, like today, that led to something a few minutes ago that was unexpected but confirmed something I had been suspicious about. So I'm scrolling down. Oh! To comply with EU rules, very soon in Windows 11, you can actually uninstall the Edge browser. You know the story behind that, right? I mean about the Edge browser is claimed to be integral to the way Windows 10 retrieves critical updates of certain kinds, and no, you can't uninstall it, even though they pested the hell out of you. And try to trick you into making it the default browser. Amazon to start selling cars online, starting with Hyundai. It's the next one. Developers can't seem to stop exposing credentials, like a password, in publicly accessible code. Now, when I lived in the Raleigh area, and I worked out in Research Triangle Park, there's no way you wouldn't know that there's a big, huge, still important, always has been, networking equipment provider, manufacturer, designer. The whole internet almost depends on it. Cisco. And whether you go back 10 years or 20 years or just a few months ago, they have developers that still are embedding passwords in their code, in the equipment, in the firmware. Why do they do that? It's a password checker, so they can, the engineer in the middle of the night on Sunday 3 a.m., you've called them up and they need to get into the equipment remotely and they have a built-in password. It's built in because the other end has to have a way of checking that you use the right password. It's usually in some kind of password list. Despite more than a decade of reminding, prodding, and downright nagging, a surprising number of developers still can't bring themselves to keep their code free of credentials of various kinds that provide the keys to their kingdoms. I think I've used that phrase. To anyone who takes the time to look for them. Like hackers. Have you read like today's Bleeping Computers and all of the admissions of huge break-ins? It's every day now. Big names, all kinds. County governments, Samsung, a company, libraries, schools, hospitals. So what started the trail for me is the number of studies published since following the revelations underscored how common the practice had been and remained in the years immediately following. Researchers from security firm GitGuardian this week reported finding almost 4,000 unique secrets stashed inside a total of 450,000 projects submitted to PyPal. Now, Python code is one of the most popular systems engineering code language, computer language, the Python package index. This is well established, and lately, meaning this year, just the last 6 months, there have been one report after another how the bad boys go in and they put Python libraries in there for anybody to download that wants to simplify how they do some function. And what they do is they put a library in there that's actually a copy of a well-known one, but then they put the malicious code in there so that if you put it in your project, it calls home and says, you can get in here. And the way they get people to sucker people into using the vicious code instead of the good is that they spell it almost the same. Almost the same. There are bad boys. Oh, I just put up a video about this list of things, and when I showed you some examples where they misspell it by one letter, like it's supposed to be NB and they'll go MB because M is next to N on the keyboard, and sometimes when you're typing in a URL, you get it wrong by one letter, and then you end up going to the bad boy site that looks just like the one you really want to go to because it's only one letter different on the keyboard. So I decided to see who these people are because, see, Get Guardian, and I'm seeing here they're in Paris, Francais, République Française. And when I went to the website, keep secrets out of your source code. You know, these people could be hackers, but maybe they're ethical and they think there's just as much money to be made helping people stop putting passwords and other kinds of things like that in their product firmware code and stuff like that. Scan your source code to detect API keys, passwords, certificates, encryption keys, and other sensitive data in real time. I'm not promoting anything. They could be hackers, but they're the other kind. They want to make money by helping stop making it so easy for hackers. Start for free, book a demo. And then they give examples of companies that scan, detect, remediate. Secure your software development life cycle with enterprise-grade secrets detection. In other words, they're going to come in and be hackers on your code, but you're going to let them in to see your library. Eliminate blind spots with our automated battle-tested detection engine. Now, here's the part I liked good. I'm not promoting anything. We're going to go to what I'm really after, but I thought it was interesting. There's no secret we can't find. With hundreds of built-in secret detectors, scanning thousands of Git repositories, those are public repositories. GitHub is one of them. That library I took you to for Python's another. There are others. Git Guardian brings everything to light. Build custom detectors to enhance your precise real-time detection without the hassle. Now, one of the things I think they're saying is, not only do they do an initial scan, but as you continue to develop your project, they'll rescan. That's what you pay for, to make sure you don't do an oopsie and put something in there you shouldn't. Remediation in hours, not a day. Git Guardian unites developers, this is the part I liked, and security teams across cross-functional data in-depth investigation remediation. What they do is, the reason why you're taking the shortcut is you don't know how to write the code to do it the best way. because you're going to put the password in to go to the cloud device that's proprietary, but what we'll show you is how to write the code that will get it in real time and save you from putting a hard-coded password that the hackers that are no good will figure out and get in anyway behind your back and you don't know it. So, I always like to see who they are, but I was, I once was in France, 1966, after I flew to Luxembourg and I hitchhiked to France. Well, I took a bus part way and I was on my way to Paris. Now, I had 3 years of high school French, which actually served me pretty well when I was hitchhiking in Morocco and Algeria and Tunisia, because the Arabs' French was as bad as mine, and we kind of sort of understood each other well enough. But when you try to talk pidgin French to somebody in France, they look at you like, what the are you saying? They pretend they have no idea what even language you're speaking to them. At least that was in 1966. My understanding is nothing's changed. Oh, wait a minute. So anyway, I wanted to see who these people were. How it all started. What made us guardians? Here's the leadership team. Well, I can tell by the looks on their faces and their names that there are no Israelis there. Eric Fourier. Now, I grew up in a town where about a quarter of the people were French-Canadian descent. And I knew somebody, I had a biochemistry instructor in college, Fournier, not Fourier. Now, this next guy looks like a movie star, a certain movie star from help me out, tell me he was a sex symbol, French movie star, Yves. Let me stray. French film star, Yves. Oh, there it is. No, not him. No. They let's try this one. Excuse me. No, not him. I know who he is. Italian-born French actor. Crossed the border. Okay, I can't remember. Now, Timothée Darko, remember, I'm not really giving a French pronunciation. So then when I got to this, CMO, that's Chief Marketing Officer, I'm looking at her name. She's not French. And the expression on his face and the expression on his face are French. Take a look at the rest of them. Can you see it? Can you tell that he's French? He's definitely French. Thierry? Thierry? Look at him. You can tell he's French. You can tell he's not an American. You can tell he's not Israeli. So I decided to look up so now we're coming to the point. So I clicked on her name. And you know, my favorite thing about going to LinkedIn is how they always do that security check. But it looked like they let the page come up. Greater Paris Metropolitan Region. She's got a lot of connections. Get Guardian. She's a marketing officer, so she's selling this. But you know, I always like to look. Now, fundraiser, WaterAid, 2014. At Infor, the EMEA field marketing team in choosing donation to replace fundraiser, Habitat for Humanity International. To me, it doesn't sound like she's French. So when I got down here, we got to the languages. French, native or bilingual proficiency. English, native or bilingual proficiency. German, limited. Swedish, elementary. She's claiming she speaks a little more Swedish than German, Deutsche. And Russian, elementary. Now, I thought that was an interesting combination. And then what I did was, now this is the way I think about things. I highlighted that. Now, they come up with her, but they think I mean a different spelling or something. And she's on Twitter, but see it says ancestry. Swedish, ornamental name composed of an altered form of the elements of vin for wine and kvist, twig, probably in the sense of grape cluster. So I was right. She's not originally French. Her family's Swedish, which probably means, I'm going to take a guess, they either immigrated to the UK or to the United States, but she studied somewhere like in Paris and loved it so much she's been there for 30 years. People do that, you know. But the thing is that they showed me her LinkedIn page. Now we're getting down to the real thing. So then I decided to click on this guy. Now he's on Ile-de-France. That's downtown Paris. Now I like this. You can tell he's really Français. Languages, Français. And then in English it says, native or bi, he screwed up. He's supposed to have that part also in French. Allemand, what's that? German. Anglais, English. Full professional proficiency for English. Now that kind of fits with her, right? German, that's not unusual that the French speakers don't really want to learn that much German, avoid it in school, all that kind of stuff. I've known a whole bunch of people from France. Okay, so the deal is, this guy that I think reminds me of a certain French movie star from the 50s or 60s, they let me in. But let me show you something. The big boy. Oh, they let me in this time? Oh, before they didn't. You mean I've gone there enough that they've checked up on me behind my back and they let me in? Ile-de-France. Paris, Ile-de-France. Oh, I got it. Paris is a special district. Oh, I'll bet that's what it means. Oh, I got it. You see this wider area that's even in the suburb? Oh, I got it now. Yeah, that's like Washington, D.C. Ile-de-France is a region in north-central France. It surrounds the nation. I'm learning something. the nation's famed capital, Paris, an international center. It's about 4,600 square miles, composed of 8 departments centered on the innermost department. Those are like counties. So it's a state within France, although they don't, département. And then within that there's like counties, municipalities, whatever. Okay, so I was going to show you how they were going to do a checkup on me and make me do the let's see what his languages are. I'm having fun with it. Now he goes way back to being one of the guys research machine learning intern. So if he was an intern, that's when he was just in college, 2016. So that means he's not even 30 yet. Lending Club, data scientist intern. Oh, look at this. Look at how he wrote it. Look at how he wrote it. Région Dubai du San Francisco, États-Unis. The Bay Area of San Francisco, the United States. He wrote it in French. But the rest of it is in English. I love it. I can tell he has an inner conflict about it. Many of the French do. Because you see, the lingua franca before 1900 for diplomacy and travel was Francais, and the scientific language was Deutsch, German. But after the real emergence of the United States after the First World War, basically both of those became English based on both the UK and the United States, and the Germans and the French kind of got pushed to the back as they lost their colonies and had to find other ways to survive. Beijing City, China. This guy is smart. He got around, but only for 2 months. In charge of making pastries and serving clients, and in a French bakery in Beijing. It probably was a family connection to somebody that they knew. Also participated in repositioning the firm's strategy, including in-depth analysis of relocation opportunities. So he went to Beijing in 2013 to work in a French bakery that wasn't doing well enough. It had to be somebody in the family or somebody the family knew, and they sent the boy genius over. I'm not being derogatory, because he says that he helped them figure out where they needed to actually position the shop to not go broke, selling French pastries to the Chinese. Oh, wait a minute. That's what it would be. The Chinese would still not buy it. He needed to move it to the diplomatic district of Beijing so all the foreigners would be able to know where to get it easy. All the embassies. That's the answer. Who's this? Who's captain? Let's see if it exists anymore. 2013. Looks like you want get the future you want. Business management consultant, He's been everywhere. South Carolina. Ah, love it. This one's in South Carolina. Beautiful. That's why he has that smirk on his face. He's been around. So let's just see if they let me into all the rest of the, because I thought they were going to, what I was going to say is, now when I did this, when I was reading the article, they wouldn't let me into his. I got into those other two, but I thought because I think that the individual says whether they want it to make it to be easily available. Let's try this guy. What did they do? They won't let me in. Do you see? Oh, this demonstrates it. So Eduardo Viol, I want to see what his languages are. Has he got any Spanish in him? Nothing in the profile. Okay, we got him. They let us in, but they won't let us in. Let's try him again. No, he said no. Let's try this guy. So he doesn't mind letting you in and see him. See, we're learning something about how LinkedIn allows people given what they've. So he's the guy that's been writing about it. Yeah. He likes the publications. He's more a technical guy. Oh, yeah! Vice President of Engineering with a strong technical background. I guessed right. Oh, National School for Engineers in Brest. So he's not from Paris, but he is definitely French. One last one. The guy with as much of a smirk on his face as the CEO. Yeah, Gregory will let us in. I am proud to serve tech companies and their teams across the world as an Oh, he's HR. Human Resources. It's interesting that these things are blotted out. View his full experience. Okay. And licenses and certifications, interpersonal communication, developing business accumulate. Oh yeah, delivering authentic elevator pitch. Diversity recruiting, HR. And he did what the CEO did. His language is, oh no, wait a minute, take a look at that. Take a look at what he did. Schizophrenic. See how I peeled the onion back? Just having fun. When he speaks of English, he says anglais. He doesn't mention that he's a native French speaker from Brest. But when he mentions Spanish, he actually uses the English word. Now, where's Brest? I think it's in the south. Is it near the Spanish border? City in France. Oh my goodness, do I really know my geography? I got it wrong. It's in Normandy. I thought he might be coming from down here, but he's out there looking. I said Normandy, but that's not quite right, is it? Seaport. Okay, so I'm just having fun with these Français. I'm having some fun with the frogs. But let me just say this. I'm not promoting anything. I hope what they're up to with their company's product really gets traction. I think it's an extremely good approach and a vitally needed one, given the amount of, let me just show you. Long Beach, California turns off IT systems after cyber attack. It's today. The city of Long Beach in California is warning that they suffered a cyber attack on Tuesday that has led them to shut down portions of their IT network to prevent the attack's spread. FBI shares tactics of notorious scattered spider. The scattered spider one got a rename recently, and they've really been going to town. They're Russian. MySQL servers targeted by. This is one of the most common freebie databases used around the world in IT. Toyota confirms breach after Medusa ransomware. Toyota threatens to leak data. Oh, there's one more I want to show you. Toyota Financial Services has confirmed it detected unauthorized access to some of its systems in Europe and Africa. Fortinet warns of critical command injection bug. Oh! How distributed denial of service attacks are taking down even the biggest tech companies. I'm just reading this stuff. Look at what's going on. Ransomware gang, this is the one I want to show you as the closing. The laugh of the day. Ransomware gang files SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, complaint over victims' undisclosed breach. They got into somebody, and there's a law about how soon you're supposed to report it. The AlphaV Black Cat ransomware, which was mentioned just in one of the things headlines above, operation has taken extortion to a new level by filing a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission complaint against one of their alleged victims that they hacked, got inside, for not complying with the 4-day rule to disclose the cyber attack. It's going to embarrass the shit out of them. See, the reason why I explore all this stuff like I do, I want to see who the good guys are, because basically you don't really get to see who the bad guys are, and usually it's only, like there was one yesterday about a Russian that was operating out of something like Cuba, that they put him away for a long time, but that's kind of an old story in terms of when he was active. They're just there's a real new Samsung data breach impacts UK store customers. It's non-stop, folks. It's non-stop. Citric hypervisor gives Toronto Public Library confirms data stolen in ransomware attack. P&J says cyber attack exposed data of nearly 9 million patients. Okay, enough. I'm rooting for the good guys. Steve AB4L. And I think that, I'm not promoting anything, but I think their approach is really, truly needed. Saying see you in 73.